We're at the end of July right now, so I'm just kind of making updates on the Annona fruits. So kind of just see where they're at. So this is African pride. Pretty green, but it's sizing up. We've been pollinating the flowers for the last 2 months. We have stopped now. So there's still quite a bit of blooms, but we are pretty much done in terms of pollinating the flowers because we don't want to pollinate too much flowers. So that is African pride. Here's an interesting one that there's really not much information about it, and I'm kind of just, I grafted it, test out the fruit, so I could be able to taste the fruit, and if it's not that good, I'll probably remove it. I try my best to kind of keep most of my Annona varieties to a minimum, because I find most of them seem to have maybe a bit of the similar taste profile. But this is a variety called Elimbah Select. So it's Elimbah and Select. It's a Australian variety, and Australia has tons of different varieties. Most of the varieties here we get from Australia is some of the old varieties. This one, not really too sure about it. I'm not sure if it's a newer variety or an older one, but Elimbah Select. And we'll see what happens. See how these fruits do this summer. Right already, it's quite a bit of a bumpy looking fruit. Elimbah Select. Here's some Painter's Charlotta. And I pollinate a lot of these Painters probably about the same time as a lot of the other varieties. I'm looking at the fruitlets right now, and they do seem to be increasing in size a lot more slower than the other the Atomoyas. So I'm not really sure if that's just because it just grows a bit more slower. I'm not really sure, but it does take quite a bit more longer time to ripen than the Atomoyas. So this is Painter's Charlotta. And most of my fruitlets are like that size, small size. But there's probably about 2 dozen that I pollinated this year. So there's some new flowers on the Painters. I am not going to be pollinating this. This is going to, if I do, it's probably going to be a very, very late fruit. So here's a variety that's pretty famous called PPC, Pet Pak Chong. It doesn't seem to do that well here in California. So this is my 3rd year with it. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't really do well again this year, I'll probably be eliminating this from my from the varieties I grow. It's just really not worth it. It tends to crack really often, and the flavor's not really been that great either. So probably the last chance to see what it does, and if it doesn't do too well, I'll be removing probably the majority of the grafts of PPC. Up next, this is Gaffner. Look at this. This is Gaffner. Very kind of has a very distinct kind of bumpiness to it, and a distinct kind of shape too. So this is Gaffner. Gaffner is my favorite of the Atomoyas. I think it has the best flavor, the best texture. So it kind of checks off both of those for me. So variety Gaffner. Here's the variety Lisa And Lisa, they start off looking like regular green fruits, but you know, you're familiar with it, it develops a really nice kind of red skin. So this is Lisa. And what I did differently this year compared to last year was I am pollinating Lisa only with its own flowers. And it looks to be much more successful than prior years. I think Lisa, in my opinion, seems to have some sort of compatibility issues with some of the other pollens. Like when most years when I'm pollinating them, they seem to develop like very kind of misshapen fruits instead of like, you know, what will end up looking like full-size fruits, you know. So this year I'm pollinating it with its own pollen, and I could kind of tell already most of the majority of fruits has a really nice shape already, like these. So this is Lisa.